You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm my friendship. Oh,
You know what time it is. Roll with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. It's Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. If we don't play, all wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's OH. Somebody please give this brother an IO. Come on.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin, and tonight I got Funky with me. Funky, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I woke up a national champion in many ways the fastest. I passed all my classes, got done with finals week, Devin. So it's going to be a nice and relaxing, so I'm not so relaxing, but, you know, no more school to worry about, no more finals to study for. So I'm in a good mood. It's a great day. And when we're national champs, you know what they say, the national champ can do whatever the heck he wants. So it's great. And I'm excited to be here with you, Devin. And it's going to be another great weekend of Ohio State visits. The Buckeyes are hot on the trail. And as Urban Meyer said, there's never been so many requirements to become a Buckeye. We've never been so worried about who joins our program or not. So every kid who commits, I'm excited about, because that means he must have checked all the boxes to, you know, be a Buckeye and join us, because we don't just let anyone into the program anymore. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Doesn't matter how good you are. You can be a great player, but if you're not a culture fit, then we don't want you. And I love being in that position where we're able to get these highly talented kids who also check the boxes of, you know, culture. And yeah, they're not here for the money. They're not here for the bag. Even they're getting paid well. It's great. And it's never been a better time to be a Buckeye fan. And I cannot wait for the season. What we are 77 days away, or maybe 80 or something like that days away from Buckeye football, or maybe college football, something. So, but I cannot wait.
Like 11 Saturdays or something.
Yeah, I think 11 Saturdays. So 77 days. And I cannot wait. And I will be in the shoe. I will be at the Texas game. So I cannot wait for that. I know I had to pull a lot of strings for that to happen, but I just could not miss, you know, Julian Sain's first start, and, you know, watching JJ Smith for a fifth time in person. I can never take that for granted, because there'll be never a human like him again on the field at Ohio State.
Yeah, no doubt. I love you bring up the national championship before we get into it. I just got to say, man, because you brought up how great it is to be a Buckeye fan. And, you know, we won the national title, but then you look at the recruiting side of things, and you brought up the culture at Ohio State. And I just want to kind of remind people about, you know, because I'm kind of newer to this. I've never been so in depth with recruiting, as far as I talk to a lot of the recruits, right? And their families, like daily, texting, messaging, back and forth, the whole 9 yards. And I get to see a different view of this thing. I get to see that view of, hey, these players have to be a culture fit. And it's something I think the fan base misses a lot. I honestly do. The fan base gets awfully upset with some of the coaches, with Ohio State, Larry Johnson, a lot of other people, when we don't land guys, or we don't offer guys, or we don't go after guys hard. And I'm telling you, about 75% of the time, in my experience, it's the culture thing. And that is legit Ryan Day's number one mission, is to raise or help guide these guys to become men, successful, young, positive men in today's culture. Like, that is his number one goal. You can be the best quarterback in the nation and want to be a Buckeye, but if you do not fit the culture, I mean, everything that I have learned in this with communicating to these recruits has shown me that, hey, the Buckeyes, they're just not going to go after you, man. You got to fit that brotherhood. You got to fit that culture. You just have to have the right mindset to be a Buckeye. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's kind of a reminder, right? Because we're right in the thick of official visits right now. All kind of things, man. Kids are canceling their official visits. Everybody's wondering, why are these people not showing up? Just this weekend, Ernest rankings. And that other top 100 offensive tackle didn't make it to the visit. We don't know why, right? But it's just there's so many things that go into recruiting that us as fans, we don't have the privilege of knowing that information. So sometimes you just got to fall back and trust these coaches, man. But chat, we appreciate you guys for showing up. We see all the regulars in there, Steely, Fancy, Barb, Cheryl, all you guys. I know I'm not going to be able to mention y'all, but we appreciate you guys showing up. Hit that like button. Also, before we start getting into the meat of this thing, take a moment and share this feed on your X account, your Instagram, and your Facebook. That helps us out a lot, right? Super chats are open. You got any questions for me and Funky? Now's the day to do it. We got about 30 minutes of a planned show, so there's going to be room for super chats. Any recruiting questions? Me and Funky, we are as deep into recruiting as one could possibly be. So tonight's the night for you to ask us those questions. So put it in a super chat. We'll get those answered for you. But let's just dive right into it, man. So obviously there was planned players that were supposed to be here, right? Ernest Rankings, defensive tackle out of Georgia, I do believe. Same with the Ikini something. I can't say his name, but he was offensive tackle. They did not make it in. They planned on making it, but they did not make it there. So we're going to talk about the players that are here. Now, there are some big-time names on this list. And Funky, before we talk about the list, I just want to – this just hit me because when you see a list of players, you have the players that the team needs and you have the players that the fans want. You know what I mean? Like you got a 5-star wide receiver, right? None of those are coming in. But it's just like when those show up to visits, it's like the fans want those more than anything. Yet there's a lot of big-time D tackles and stuff coming in and offensive linemen coming in. So, Funky, before we get going, tell me both those categories for you. Like, give me your number one want out of these visits, right? The players that are coming in and your number one need. So let me just go down through them real fast. You got Sincere Johnson, linebacker, Jir Perez, D tackle, Carter Meadows, defensive end, Jackson Ford, defensive end, PJ Dean, defensive tackle, and Danny Odum, cornerback. Out of those, give me your number one want, and then give me your number one need, and then we're going to go down each one by one and talk about various things about them.
Yeah, I would say my number one want would probably be from the DC area, Carter Meadows. Probably the best defensive end that we have on a visit maybe this entire summer. He's up there with Luke Waffles. He's my number one, number two on my personal defensive end board for Ohio State. And I think Ohio State actually favors Luke Waffles over him, but Carter Meadows still, highly elite, 6'6", 225-pound, lengthy defensive end. We know how disruptive those are. 5-star player. So he's my want, but my need has to be those Ohio boys. Sincere Johnson and Jir Perez, for obvious reasons. You can't, especially at Glenville, you can't let Glenville kids go elsewhere. You just can't.
Yeah. And
if they want to, and if they really want to be different, then they're not the culture fits anyways, but you want to try to keep it on lockdown. So
yeah,
my top two priorities are always going to be in-state kids. We got to keep the kids in state, and usually works out for us naturally, though. Usually the kids who leave really don't do much. That's just kind of a fact. You can look at the kids who left the state of Ohio and see what they did in their colleges, especially if they go out west or go to Florida. Not very good. The hit rate's not very high for those type of kids. So I want to keep the kids in state, especially Sincere Johnson, because I think he's been number one on our linebacker board for a while, and believe it or not, he still is. Even with Tyler Atkinson and Xavier Griffin, I bet you if you ask the staff who do you really want, I bet you they say Sincere Johnson, because again, he's in our backyard. He's an Ohio kid. Yep. Those kids, we need to keep them at Ohio State. Those are the type of kids that, build culture and keep building that pipeline with Glenville. So those are my two biggest needs. But we talked pre-show and we went through the list of the uncommitted kids coming here, and we're like, well, we for sure leave for Sincere Johnson. I'd be insanely surprised if he doesn't commit on June 19th. Jir Perez, we both agree that we believe he's going to flip to us. Carter Meadows, for his recruitment, is a little wild. He's probably, we're in this top 4 for sure. Do we lead? I'm not 100%, but Jackson Ford, I believe we lead for. PJ Dean, I very confident we lead for, and Danny Odom, we're his biggest offer on the board. We're the biggest school that's recruiting him, so I believe it's a safe bet that he becomes a Buckeye. So that's 5 out of the 6 kids I believe are for sure going to be Buckeyes, and the other one I feel like we have a puncher's chance for. So this is a great group of kids coming, and I'm excited to get a lot of the intel from how the vids are going.
Yeah, for sure, man. My wants are a toss up between PJ Dean and Carter Meadows. Or wait, did I say that right? Yeah. They are. So those are my. No, wait, I said that wrong. My wants are Carter Meadows and Sincere Johnson, right? Just because I think those are some 2 elite, like, as far as skills go, and in their position groups, they're just elite football players. My wants, just because I think we're pretty good at the linebacker position, with Riley Pettijohn and TJ Alford there. And I definitely understand the Ohio thing, but one Ohio player isn't there for me with my needs. That's Jir Perez and PJ Dean are my wants. And honestly, people are probably going to call me crazy, but I want Jir Perez probably over any defensive tackle that's on in this visit for sure. But let's just go down through it, man, and talk some specifics a little bit, because you mentioned him, Sincere Johnson. He's a number 80 player nationally, linebacker, 6'3", 245. A lot of people in the beginning of his recruitment were wondering, linebacker, defensive end, where's he going to turn in? What's he going to turn into? Ohio State is recruiting him as a linebacker, and obviously they'll go with the flow on it, but he's an Ohio kid, and over these past few years, there's always this thing that comes out about how Ohio State recruits Ohio kids. You hear that they might put a little less effort towards them or whatever. They might offer them late because they're Ohio kids or whatever. I'm not here to debate whether they do or don't do that. I'm here to tell you that is not the case with Sincere Johnson. No matter where Sincere Johnson is in this country, he would be, like as Funky said, the number 1 linebacker that Ohio State wants. And that's how they are treating him. They are recruiting him. It doesn't matter which state he's in. They love him as a football player, and it's just a plus that he happens to go to Glenville. He has been a top priority for James Laurinaitis. He's supposed to commit on the 19th. Pretty much right after this visit. And Funky, let us know, man. I'll let you drop the little intel you got on, because the Buckeyes are they put like 3 or 4 Buckeyes out on the Twitter thing. And so we know there's been some commitments lately, but give us your rundown on Sincere Johnson. Do you think he let the Buckeyes know he's in the class already and he'll announce it the 19th, or where are you at with Sincere Johnson?
Yeah, let's start with the beginning of this week, or whenever they started posting those Buckeyes. We saw 1 Buckeye get posted, and we saw 3 more get posted by the Twitter, which means, 4 silent commitments to the Buckeyes. And we were going through the list, me and Devin and other people, part of the staff, and we're like, okay, 1's Aaron Thomas. Let's be real. Aaron Thomas is going to probably be a Buckeye. We're very, very, very confidently saying that. And then we're like, okay, who just visited? Who's just on the visit? And we're like, wow, Sincere Johnson and Jir Perez just went to camp. And we got some solid intel enough that makes me personally believe that they were the other 2 and 3 on the next up the commit list. And then you go to the 4th, and we were like, who the heck is the 4th guy to commit? Me and Devin were talking, we're all the staff was talking. We're like, we probably think this is a 2027 kid. So we said we've probably 3 out of the 4 were 2026, and then 1 was a 2027. A little bit wrong on the 2027. It was a 2028 kid. Super excited to have that kid, but that was a little bit surprising for everybody involved and anyone who follows. But so to get to the point, I personally believe that the Buckeyes had some good news come from Glenville the last couple days. I believe they both are jumping the boat. Glenville's had a strong pipeline to Ohio State for years, and we heard that from a pretty real. I told Devin pre-show who it was. Very reliable source. Very, very reliable source who we trust. So I'll just leave it at that. And I believe so. That means then if people are like, oh, why haven't they committed yet? You said 3 are committing. Why haven't they committed yet? It's an Instagram post. It doesn't matter. Sincere Johnson is probably going to post on the 19th. So he could have committed before his visit, going to enjoy his visit and commit on on June 19th, day before my birthday. So that'll be a nice birthday little gift. And that's totally fine. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. And then I can see Jir Perez committing around the same time, and Aaron Thomas pulling the trigger whenever he wants to pull the trigger. It's impossible to say, but I would bet a lot of money that all 3 of those kids become Buckeyes before July 1st. So that was a little intel we got, and him going on a visit this weekend is probably just going to accelerate that timeline. But I don't see him like pushing this commitment forward. I still believe he's going to commit on the 19th.
Yeah. And just to kind of give you guys kind of a little bit, some information on how recruiting works. Favor Aki just committed. What was it? Last week, the week before?
Yep.
He's been committed since March.
And we reported that. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He committed back then. Right. And we reported, hey, Favor Aki, he's in. And then you go through this thing of, well, if they don't like announce in the next week, everybody starts to not believe that not believe any of this reporting that we do. But it's just like, no, man, like he committed then, he just made it public now. Like the staff has known this entire time, right, that he is in the boat. He committed in March. Like that is a known thing. So that's kind of how recruiting works. I'll talk to recruits, and they'll give me some information, and, some of it I can share, some of it I can't. But just because, they commit to the Buckeyes, would let the Buckeyes know, hey, I want to commit here. I want to take my other visits maybe, or I have a specific date that I want to announce. Now, can that change? 100%. Yeah, things can change, man. If they don't shut their visits down, if they're one of those players that say, hey, I want to commit here, but I'd like to finish my visits out, something could change. But, all I do anyway is give information of, hey, I know that this person, committed, but they're going to be taking their visits. So recruiting is kind of, it's wild anymore and really hard to nail these things down. So if we come out and say something, we mean it. You see Will Fong. Will Fong's at about, I think this year, I stopped keeping track, but at one point in time, he was going on like a 10% success rate. You know what I mean? Like that dude is just, it's wild. So recruiting is very difficult. But the next one, you mentioned him, Jir Perez. I watched his film, and I don't know if it's his body type or what it is. I talk to Jir Perez frequently. He might be my number one want at defensive tackle, and that might sound absolutely psycho to several people. But I know there might be some players that are better than him now. It's just I project and I think Jir Perez is going to turn into an absolutely elite defensive tackle. Just a guess on my part, could be completely wrong. But 6'4", 360, way lower rated, kind of a late riser on Ohio State's board, committed to Florida. Now, Florida was like the first visit he made to a big school, and it was also an official visit. So everybody's wondering, why did he commit then? Well, they brought the house down, and that was his first time experiencing something like that from such a big school. So not really surprised there, right, that they got him to commit them, but we think it's going a different direction. Funky mentioned him showing up to train. Like, you're committed to Florida, right? So you've already found your school, and you're going to show up and train at Ohio State camp the week before your official visit to Ohio State. So even if you don't talk to Jir and you don't have inside information, you can kind of follow the tea leaves there and kind of see, hey, man, doesn't look like it's such a solid commitment to Florida. If number one, he's still taking his official visits. Number two, he's from Glenville. And number three, he was just training, right, at Ohio State. So, Funky, give me your thoughts on Jir Perez. He's there right now.
I will never, ever, ever complain about getting an Ohio kid in the Ohio State class. That's just, I trust the staff on those ones. I trust the Ted Ginn senior to, give us a good evaluation of the kids. I trust the staff to get a good look at the kids. I trust the kids to play with pride and really, really want to become Buckeyes. And when they're Buckeyes, they don't want to be that kid who doesn't make it. They want to succeed as Buckeyes, and our hit rate with Ohio kids is really high. I mean, we see it all the time. 3 stars become starting right tackles as redshirt freshmen. You see just tight ends, from all over the position groups.
Jake Cook.
See kids. Yeah, Jake Cook, exactly. Jake Cook, like no one was recruiting the kid.
Yeah.
And he's legit in a second string center for us right now.
Mhm.
If stuff happens like stuff happened last year, man, he'll see the field. And that's not a kid. That's a serious. I mean, if we have to go 8-9 deep, he's probably going to see the field as a true freshman. Actually, he's probably on a red shirt, so maybe erase that. But that kid's going to see the field as a sophomore, as a junior, maybe a red shirt. So I haven't seen Perez play in person, so I can't speak to it too much. But what I can say is he earned himself an Ohio State offer. He's a big kid at a position that we could always need more bodies at, and seems like a a kid who wants to work hard, and he comes from a great program. So I'll pretty much take those guys blindly.
Yeah, for sure. I see people in the chat talking about me saying Perez is like the best DT or whatever. Trust me, I totally get it. But, it might be because I know him so well. I know his personality and whatnot. And I watched his film from last year, and I just watched him at the camp, how much better he got, how light on his feet he is. I'm just super excited.
He looked really quick.
Yeah,
he looked really quick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's about 345 pounds right now. So he has dropped some weight already, and he was pretty quick.
Shout out Joe for that one. Joe, sorry, I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but good writer for us. Yeah, Joe Jermaine. Well, great. He went to the camps, loved his evaluations, loved what he had to say. So that was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the next one, a 5-star, right? Carter Meadows, defensive end, out of the D.C. area, 6'6", 225 pounds, number 34 player nationally. And just from where I sit and I dig and follow all the sites and everything, anybody that says they know too much about Carter Meadows right now is going strictly off of just a feeling, right? Even these people that say Penn State's leading and Ohio State might be 4th or whatever. Like, I haven't seen too many interviews with him. I haven't seen people that have talked to him, and I could be way wrong. I don't know everything. I don't, I could have missed something there, but I don't know. For me, I just feel like Ohio State's going to put the full court press on here. These might not be the type of, or it's not might not, they're just not the type of defensive ends that we see Larry Johnson going after and that too awful hard, and that we have gotten here recently. But he would be a different type of style player, I believe, coming here, and I think we could utilize him a lot. And let me just remind you that dang name, Blake, got too many names in my head. Who's the 5-star safety out of Baton Rouge that committed? Blaine Bradford?
Yeah. Blaine Bradford, yeah.
Let me just kind of remind people how recruiting goes. Nobody in a million years ever thought that dude was committing to the Buckeyes that day, right? And listen, you never know. Carter Meadows, man, with Ohio State on their official visits, you look at the teams that he has on his list. He doesn't have those teams on his list that are going to come in with an absolute crazy amount of NIL, right? He's not in on those schools. It's the school. It's who is it? It's Penn State. I know for sure. I think it's South Carolina.
Penn State, South Carolina, Michigan, Ohio State.
Okay. Yeah.
So there is one big bag school there, but
yeah, there is. But anyway, with our roster, with what we have on the depth chart there, I think Ohio State, if they want this guy, if he's high up on their list, the defensive end position, I think they can definitely move the needle on this official visit. So not to get your hopes up too high, but again, just a reminder, things can happen out of nowhere that nobody would ever expect to happen. Funky, your thoughts on Carter Meadows?
I think he's the most talented kid that's on the visit, to be honest with you. I think for purely, like I said, he's my biggest want. He's my biggest want out of these kids that are here. He's freak of nature athlete, really quick from a highly competitive football area, which is something I really look for because I don't like kids who don't play competitive football. So I just don't think I just like you. I want you against other kids who are competitive and playing high level football with good coaching and versus other good coaches and scheming and losing games, winning games. That's all the stuff that grows you as a player and as a human. So I could really appreciate that from Carter coming from a highly competitive football area. Uh, he's a great player, lengthy, gets to the quarterback. He has been improving a lot year after year. He's still growing too. I think his height probably stopped at this point, but he's really filling out now because he kind of had a big growth spurt, and now he's filling out. I can see him getting up to 230, 240, while hopefully keeping his speed and his agility with him. Oh, and you're right. His list, you can really look at it and you can see what type of player he is. It's 3 Big Ten teams in South Carolina. South Carolina's had a lot of success recruiting in that area, so clearly they're in for another one. And then you see Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, those are 3 kid calling another kid or whatever. But I'm an adult, but it's all good. There's 3 Big Ten teams, 3 Big Ten teams, powerhouses that have, all elite defensive line development. So clearly the kid's here to get developed. He's here to play in the cold. He's here to play in good environments. So he's clearly he's a tough-nosed kid. He's not trying to run to Miami or run to, a hotter school or go to Texas or go to Auburn or whatever. Because those are the kids doesn't really, but that impresses me from a kid. And I'm excited for his visit. I hope we good intel, but he's been keeping his cards really close to his chest. Really, really close to his chest. I've not really heard any good or bad intel coming from him, and he's been taking visits. So I'm excited to see anything I hear. So.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing with players that play this like so close to their chest. I mean, just like Savion Hyder, right? He's another player that does that. Like we're sitting here at Ohio State could be number 1 for Savion Hyder and for Carter Meadows. And I just don't think anybody would know. We could also be dead last and have no shot, right? And we wouldn't know. So you never know there. But speaking of scum, Penn State and Ohio State, the next player, that's the schools that are in on him as well. It's Jackson Ford, 6'4", 240-pound defensive end out of Pennsylvania. I would be lying to you if I wanted to sit here and tell you what kind of player he is. I have not had the opportunity to dig down and watch his film and see. I know he's around like a top 200 type of player. So Funky, I don't know. You might have a little more on him, but I do know that Ohio State has a very good shot here as well. And I know I'm not giving you a lot of time to take your break and do whatever it is that you're doing, but I just don't have much to say about Jackson Ford.
Oh, no, I mean, for Jackson Ford, it's seemingly, again, I mean, it's literally a Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State battle again.
Yep.
So, I mean, and when we're recruiting into Michigan and Penn State, we have a very high win rate. And I really like Larry Johnson, and I think he's catching steam. And I really do like where we sit with PJ Dean and Jir Perez in this class. And so I think they're all going to be in his year to, commit and be a family together. I think Jackson Ford is another one of those lengthy defensive ends who we could really get. He's a little bigger than Carter Meadows, 15, 20 pounds heavier, top kid in the nation. It's another kid where we'll see the visits come, but I think the Buckeyes have a puncher's chance with him. I would say, again, it's a battle with those 2 teams again. He's a Big Ten kid. He's going to stay in the Big Ten. Should be interesting. But I think we lead, to be honest with you. Because when we go against these other teams, it doesn't bother me. Like we don't really lose. We don't really lose recruits to Penn State, Michigan quite often. So I'm going to trust Larry Johnson on this one and the new staff. And I know he's extremely interested in Ohio State, and the staff feels good about him. Because if the staff didn't feel good about you, you wouldn't be here on the visit.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that Ohio State's been in this recruitment for quite some time. Like they offered him a while ago, and they've been having open communication with him for quite some time. So we'll see. The next one, man, I consider 5-star on one recruiting site. He's ranked like the number 142 player in the nation, but also at one point in time, he was ranked the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the nation. This is PJ Dean. And they have him as the number 142 player in the nation. 247 composite does. He's 6'5", 275 pounds. He has switched over to defensive tackle. I know he has a brother that played at Georgia, just got drafted or whatnot. When he came down to the Ohio State visit, it was actually Coach Bowen, offensive line coach. That's why he was there. That's what he's being recruited. Well, while he was there, Coach Johnson took a look at his defensive line film and immediately offered him for a defensive tackle position. And they really hit it off on that visit. Coming out of that visit, I think there were crystal balls put out for Ohio State. A lot of smoke going on around Ohio State. And just to kind of let people know, I failed to mention this. Jir Perez will be on the Buckeye Boys show next week. PJ Dean will be on the Buckeye Boys show next week as well. The new 2028 running back commit will be on the Buckeye Boys show on Monday. And there's one other person, but I can't quite remember who that is. But yeah, PJ Dean, I mean, he's absolutely elite, a dynamic football player. I know people that kind of assess him from a skills standpoint, and this is the type of player that, hey, whatever he asks for, give it to him. I know there are people that look at PJ as that type of player in this class. I know he is a perfect culture fit for Ohio State. I know his parents loved Ohio State. Again, that last visit he was on, I mean, a lot of heat around Ohio State. So he might be, minus the Ohio kids. Yeah, definitely minus the Ohio kids. This is the one I'm keeping an eye on right here, because with the momentum that Ohio State had after that first unofficial visit, I think they're going to utilize that to their advantage. And I would not be surprised at all to see a commitment come out of this visit from PJ Dean. Funky, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, let's put back the time machine. We had some really good information on PJ Dean. I forget how long ago, Devin, but I remember I was in the airport when you were calling me about him, and I put out my official Funky Bomb prediction for him to land on a Buckeye. I'm forgetting the dates on this, but what I remember is a few days later, I think it was 3, 4, 5 days later, we saw him get, crystal balled to Ohio State. So we had some good insight on that. What is that, 2 months ago now, Devin? I'm kind of forgetting a bit. Time kind of all went into one. But I remember that. And so I think he becomes a Buckeye, and I stand by that. I think he's an insanely talented defensive tackle, interior offensive lineman who I think we will evaluate again once he gets on campus. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up playing O-line at Ohio State. We're recruiting him at both, we would be recruiting him at both. And he wants to play defensive tackle, so that's what we're going to recruit him as right now. But I can totally see the kid kicking out the interior or right guard, left guard if defensive tackle isn't fully working out for him. Which is, having a versatile kid like that is always valuable. And some of the best offensive linemen we've ever had started off at defensive tackle. We've won national championships with defensive tackles starting. So it's the kids like that I really like, because it shows their intelligence too. Because to play offensive line, you have to be a smart kid, and to play defensive line, you have to be, smart, athletic, a freak, have a lot of power. And I think we lead for him, because if I believe it, I don't think Georgia's in his recruitment at all, right, Devin?
Yeah, I believe he visited there.
He did?
I think he took an official. I think he took an official visit to Georgia. I could be wrong. Let me look that up real fast.
Well, because I was about to say, I believe that he's kind of a weird, or not a weird kid, but one of those kids from Georgia who wants to, get out of the state and become a Buckeye. And I think he ends up a Buckeye. I think you're totally right. Besides those two Glenville kids, I'm confident about all of them being in the class. But I would say he's number 3 on my list on being in the class. And I do have a prediction out for him, and I put that out 2 months ago, and I'm going to keep it. I'm riding or die with that one.
Yeah. PJ Dean, it's a South Carolina in there, Georgia and Ohio State. That's the battle right now between them. He visited South Carolina May 30th, visited Georgia June 6th, and now he's on his Ohio State visit. I believe it's going to be his last official visit, so that'll be good stuff there. Shout out my dude Mello in the chat, the other half of the Buckeye Boys. He reminded me who our other interview was. It is Darius Gray. Another top interior offensive lineman in the class. He's taken a lot of official visits. We've interviewed him before, an absolute perfect culture fit for Ohio State. Again, big on faith, Really mature young man. Haven't got too much intel on how that visit went, but he's coming on the show. So we're going to have as much intel as you could possibly ask for. Tune in next week when Darius Gray comes on here. I feel like the Buckeyes have just as much of a shot for Darius Gray as any other team that's in his recruitment. And based off of the national title and what Ohio State has to offer, you might put them up there at the top of his list for sure. When we did the interview, he did say Ohio State was a top school in his recruitment, but you never know there. Funk, you got anything to add about Darius Gray? And we'll talk about the last person on the official visit, and we'll hit up some of these super chats.
Yeah, I mean, I heard his visit went great, but I wouldn't be confident enough to say it moved us past LSU. That would still be where I have no prediction for him, but that's where I'm leaning still LSU, because we know he's a big LSU or big Saints fan.
Yes,
but we'll see. I don't count Tyler Bowen out for any of these guys, and I don't think it's a done deal, but we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to choose Ohio State, so I'll never cancel out any of them.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I could be off here, but I believe my confidence grew on Darius Gray when I saw the offensive lineman that's committed to LSU already. I think they just recently got a couple top offensive linemen. I could be off there, but anyway.
I believe Tennessee's also in that recruitment. Sorry. It's like Tennessee, LSU, and us. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. Last person on his official visit, kind of a big-time underrated guy, Ohio State. They've been keeping an eye on him for quite some time. Offered him. It's Danny Odum, the corner, 6'2", 180 pound, the number 247th player nationally. I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of message board chats on him, and supposedly he is about to skyrocket up these rankings, and he has really turned up the heat as far as he might be one of the top corners ranked in the nation before this is all said and done. I have yet to dig in and see any film or anything to back that up. That's just the word on the streets. So I figured I'd share that with y'all. But considering Ohio State, as far as I'm aware, we are like one of the bigger schools that's been in his recruitment for quite some time. So, I'd put PJ Dean maybe on that list with Danny Odom as far as, hey, man, we could see another pop here coming out of this weekend for Danny Odom. Funky, any thoughts on him?
We've really cut our cornerback board, our defensive backboard. We've cut it down to, very few guys, especially on that true cornerback position. So, and Danny Odom is one of them. So, I feel good about it. I feel pretty good about it. He has 4 visits set up. He visited Oklahoma, Auburn. He's visiting us this week, or right now, and then he's visiting Nebraska next week. So Nebraska's getting the last official visit. And again, it's another one where we're fighting against Oklahoma, Auburn, and Nebraska. And we want this kid. He's not even a want. He's really a need at this point. He'd be our 3rd cornerback. He'd be our 2nd, true outside cornerback. So with it'd be like him and Jordan Thomas and Jaden Raddick. Jaden Ricketts, sorry. What is like a true slot corner, fast guy, 10-6, 100 meters type guy. So really quick slot corner. And Odom and Thomas are the outside corners, and we're pursuing them. And when we're fighting against Auburn, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, I feel real good, and I trust the staff on this one. And I know he's going to be getting a ton of attention, and he's going to be there with Blaine Bradford. He's going to be in his ear, and I feel good about it. Because I know Ohio State wants him. Even though we joined the party a little late, I know we want him, and I think I'm going to let the coaches cook on this one, and I'm excited to see what comes out of the visit. I think it's going to be very positive news for Ohio State.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if Penn State's still in that or not. I think he's visiting Penn State after us. I could be wrong there, but Penn State already has 3 corners committed, so I'm not sure how much he's going to, want to go there. Sorry, real fast, Gibson mentioned Marietta, Ohio. That's where I was raised. I was raised in, I went to Warren High School, Gibson, so I figured I'd shout you out, man. Marietta, They were my rival in high school when we played them, so we beat them every year. But anyway, neither here nor there. Let's dive into the super chats. Here we go. Mickey with the 1999. We appreciate the heck out of you for that, man. 1999, that's a big super chat for us. We appreciate you. We got Will 8282 with the 499. Said, I appreciate y'all. We appreciate you guys that show up. It's the reason why we do this. We love the family. You know, the Buckeyes, the football team talks about brotherhood. Well, we got a brotherhood here at Scoop as well in the chat. Very faithful people that show up and listen to us, and they tune out all that outside noise of haters that get jealous because we do what we do here on Scoop. Lucia, thank you so much for the $5. She wants to know, does a silent commit really save a spot on the team for the recruit, or can the school cancel it at a later date? Funky, I'll let you take that one.
I mean, the school, it depends. If it's an in-state kid, then absolutely not. Ohio State will never cancel it. An out-of-state kid, for sure. Because, I mean, you could be a committed kid and kind of get pushed out of the class. You could be, in the class. Usually Ohio State likes to appreciate loyalty like we're doing this year at the tight end position. Some would argue we can get a better tight end, but Ohio State's standing firm with Corbin Fordham from Florida because he's loyal. He committed here. He's a great player and he's loyal. You can argue Sutter's better, but Ohio State is, sticking with Corbin, even though I believe if we only want one tight end from what I've been hearing. So we appreciate the loyalty of Corbin, and that's why I believe we're going to stick with him and not drop him and get someone else, because it's just not how we roll here. So they can do whatever they want, because it's just a commitment doesn't really mean anything. But usually when you silently commit to a school, they chalk you in and they won't take you out. Like, that's just really uncommon. You'd have to be, and usually, the lower ranked kids who would get pushed out of the class don't silent commit, unless they're in the state. Unless they're in-state kids. And if you're in-state kids, you won't, if you have an offer from Ohio State, then it's an offer. And that's an offer till the day you sign your papers. So no matter if you tear ACL or whatever, it's an offer. There's been 3-star kids who went down with ACL tears, and Ohio State still, takes their commitment, because that's what you do with in-state kids, and that's the respect they give. Out-of-state kids, little different story. You could totally pull it. So my answer is yes, you totally could. It's just very, very unlikely and unusual.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. Pretty much what Funky said. Each recruitment is different there, So I have heard of players wanting to silently commit, right? And they sit down and have a conversation with the coach, and essentially the coach talks them out of it and says, hey, we don't want, when you're ready to commit, give us a call, but no need to silent commit if you're still going to go on all these visits up. So I've heard of that. I've also heard, of, yes, taking the silent commit and ends up working out. So I think it all just depends, for sure. But I love the momentum Ohio State has right now on the recruiting trail. I wanted to mention, man, you brought up Corbin Fordham, and I wanted to talk about him real fast because I just recently went and watched all his film. And, it's kind of funny how when recruits commit super early, they don't have all that drama around their name. They don't really get a lot of attention. But Corbin Fordham, go watch his film, chat, and tell me what you think, because I did this because I watched Max Sutter's film as well, and might be crazy, man, but I would stick with Corbin Fordham over Max Sutter, and Max Sutter's rated a top tight end in the nation. Again, I'm nobody special in terms of breaking down film or understanding the competition that they're playing, but I don't think Corbin Fordham gets enough love, especially because he's not going to generate a lot of clicks for these recruiting sites because he's already committed, locked in, committed, obviously. It's kind of like you see our 27 quarterback commit. Brady Edmonds was like the number 1 quarterback in the nation, committed, and now he's like the number 10 quarterback in the nation. So I think you kind of see that effect a little bit with Corbin Fordham. Not saying would be rated the number 1 tight end, but I think he would be rated a lot higher if he didn't commit so early. Funky, I don't know if you have anything to add to that or not.
I think Corbin's a great. I've talked to some of the Florida guys who've watched him play, and they think highly of him. They think he's Ohio State caliber. So that's what I will say. They think he's a stud. So I haven't watched him play in person. Obviously, he's across the country from me. Fun fact: How long has it been since an Ohio State commit has taken a visit elsewhere? Guess, Devin. Do you know it?
No, I don't. Well, yeah, they haven't, have they?
4 months.
None of
It's been 4 months.
really.
It's been four. I think it was Chris Henry Jr. to Oregon.
Oh yeah. He was flipping right after that. He silently committed to Oregon on that visit. I remember.
He did?
No,
Oh, you're trolling.
I'm being
Okay. Oh my
sarcastic.
God.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
I was like, what are you talking about?
literally, dude, I'm serious. Go watch On3's interview with him right after that. Their whole interview was geared toward trying to convince the nation that he was not going to sign with Ohio State. It was the most disgusting thing. Me and Mello did a show right after that and absolutely lit him up. I think that's when we coined him Con 3. Because, somebody in the Buckeye Boys chat said Con 3, and I've heard several other shows say Con 3 now. Let me tell you something. That's Buckeye Boys language right there. Us in our chat coined Con 3. I don't know.
You got me saying it. I use it all the time.
I know. So good stuff, man. But yeah. This is a big time official visit. The first week official visits had a good number of people, not that many. The second official visit only had like 2 or 3. This week we upped it a little bit. I would say this is our most important official visit to date, but the one next week will definitely go down as the biggest official visit weekend that we have. We'll be diving into that for sure before then. But we'll see. As far as there's people that want to freak out about Larry Johnson, I watched another show today that gave absolutely all the credit for any momentum that we have on the defensive line recruiting to Matt Patricia. They never mentioned Larry Johnson's name one time. It was all Matt Patricia, Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia got Carter Meadows here. Matt Patricia got the Kari Wilder commitment. Matt Patricia has got PJ Dean interested in us. Matt Patricia is going to reel in Deuce Gerald's, and it's just, don't fall into that, please, chat. This is Larry Johnson we're talking about. I talk to the recruits. They don't mention Matt Patricia, and I'm not downgrading Matt Patricia. They do. I shouldn't have said that because several people mention Matt Patricia. A lot of people do, but they also mention Larry Johnson. I just think it's very funny at what the beat, and I don't know what the agenda is behind this, but it's never been more obvious to me.
Devin,
but
there needs to be a whipping boy. Sorry, there needs to be a whipping boy. There's always a whipping boy. That's one of the first things I ever learned. I remember reaching out to Kirk in Nevada, and I was like, wait, why are people like crapping on Larry or Justin Fry? I'm like, our offensive line this year is looking amazing, and they're like funky. There always needs to be a whipping boy, and I'm like, oh, really? Or like I was like, oh, right, like Parker Fleming, he's gone and needs to be someone else. It was Tony Alford for a second, and then it was Justin Fry, and then I'm like, who is it going to be this year? I'm like, is it going to be Brian Hartline? Like, no, it can't be Brian Hartline. Larry Johnson? You mean the guy who's produced more defensive ends in the NFL than anybody? Who did it at Penn State, did it at Ohio State, and just had 4 guys taken in the NFL draft, who had 7 like legit kids commit to us last year from the transfer portal or the recruiting cycle. I was like, wow. And it's true. And they're just it's June and Larry has 0 people committed. Relax. We're gonna end the class with 4 blue chippers, at least. At least 4 blue chippers, and there's gonna be some really, really great players in this class because trust me, we've talked to recruits and they call Larry Johnson the GOAT. They speak so highly of him. I have no doubt that we're going to end up with a really legit defensive line class. With Kahari Wilder, you could pencil in like PJ Dean, and then we're going to be in it and then you could pencil in Deuce, and you could pencil in a few other kids, so.
Yeah. Kari Wilder just got invited to the 5-star Rivals on 3 camp, like top 100 player in the nation, Kari Wilder. Not rated that whatsoever, but he just got invited there. Let me do these now, matter of fact, I still wanted to say that. I fell victim to the Fryer. Me and Mello here on the Buckeye Boys, we gave Coach Fry so much crap, and he made us eat our words. But that was when we first started. Now, with the experience that we have, talking to these recruits, talking to families, talking to Buckeye players, talking to Buckeye coaches, we've kind of learned a little more. And really, when we were downgrading Coach Fry and stuff, it was more ignorance than anything else. It was lack of information. The only information that we were gathering was what other people were telling us, right? And that's the same with Larry Johnson. Now I'm seeing all these things that people want to put out about Larry Johnson, and certain fans, that's the only place they get information is from these sites, from these shows, from these interviews. So they take that information and they run with it. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't things about Fry that I didn't agree with. There definitely was. I'm not saying there's things about Larry Johnson that I don't agree with. There definitely are things about Larry Johnson and his style of recruitment that I think is a little out of date. I mean, two things can be true. I can be worried about those things, and we can still be fine with our recruiting class, which is 100%. This is Ohio State, and that's Larry Johnson. We're going to be just fine in defensive line and their recruiting. Gio, thank you so much for the $5. He said, my uncle, OSU class of 54, lives in the Chicago area. I will ask him about kids we are recruiting there, like at Mount Carmel High School. Oh, yeah, for sure, Gio. Let us know. That'd be cool. Like to hear what he's got to say, no doubt. Joe, thank you so much for the $4.99. Thank you. All your interviews are fire. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that, man. We have a heck of a time doing the interviews. That's Buckeye Boys calling card. That's the main thing. Eventually, I mean, our goal would be to interview pretty much all top 100 recruits in the nation every year, especially if Ohio State's in on them. So that's what we're going for. We're picking up some steam there. I mean, we got recruits reaching out to us now, wanting to come on the show. So it's picking up a lot of heat. It's because of you guys and your support, and we appreciate that, man. You know, shout out Buckeye Scoop as well. We would not be where we're at if it wasn't help from Funky and Kirk and Nevada and all them, man. So God works in mysterious ways. It's been a huge blessing. If you'd have told me 2 years ago this is what I'd be doing in my life, I would have called you a liar for sure. Funky, anything to add, man? Anything you want to share?
Grateful for y'all to be here. I'll be on show tomorrow with B. Moses. But early happy Father's Day to, all the fathers out there. Happy 250th anniversary to the United States Army. We respect our troops here, always will. Grateful enough, extremely grateful for the military, extremely grateful for our fathers. It's been an amazing month so far, and it's just going to get better. And remember, you wake up every day and you're a national champion. Everyone here, every Buckeyes fans, we are national champs. So it's another great day, and I appreciate all y'all being here and spending your Saturdays with us. And Kirk and Nevada should be on tomorrow, and same with me and B Moses. So we have another 2 hours plus of shows for y'all tomorrow. And again, we can't do this without y'all. So absolutely love it, and it's going to be great. And I'm sure we're going to have really great intel Monday after the staff gets together and does their pre-official visit meetings.
Yep.
Or post, sorry.
Yeah. And if everything goes according to plan, next week will be like the biggest week the Buckeye Boys have ever had as far as interviews. We have 4 interviews scheduled for 4 big-time recruits that are either already committed or coming off their official visit to Ohio State. So go check us out over on our Buckeye Boys channel. We stream on there. We also stream on Scoop every Monday and Thursday. So our interview with the new 2028 running back will be done on the Scoop channel, but also go check us out over there. If you're not subscribed, subscribe over there, hit that alert bell so you can be part of our interviews that we always do live. So definitely going to be a big week next week, but do appreciate you. Love all our troops out there. Yeah, definitely happy anniversary to them. The super chats you guys gave, I know Scoop uses those to support our veterans. They give free memberships to veterans that, call them up and want a membership to the Scoop message board. If you're not on the Scoop message board, I'm here to tell you that I'm subscribed to like Bucknuts and the other one as well. And Scoop is where I find myself 90% of the time. So you might want to go check them out if you're not already. So on that note, we appreciate the heck out of you guys. Appreciate your support so much. Hit that like button if you haven't already. But on that note, go Buckeyes. OH.
IO. Sorry, IO. Sorry.
It's all good.
Go Buckeyes.
Amen.